building a better monk. Can you do it? Can we do it? Welcome to Intoxicated Intellect. Today we're going to take a stab at a new monk homebrew subclass. If you have some ideas on how we can improve this, comments, questions, whatever, let us know down in the comments. Be sure to like the video and subscribe too if you want to see more content like that. We like kind of building some homebrew stuff and we appreciate your input. Brady has built a very special monk with a very special origin for our main overarching campaign, and I'd like to hear a lot more about it. Brady, what do you got?
I have the Way of the Shadowfell Monk. Now, I know there's already a Way of the Shadow Monk, but let's be honest, it wasn't all that. And Shar and the Shadowfell has been on my mind a lot lately as I plan out overarching themes for our campaign and where to take it, who to make important players, what to do. And that paired with us going over the different monk subclasses, I felt inspired to try to make it slightly better. So with all of that in mind, why not make a Way of the Shadowfell Monk? When you choose this subclass at 3rd level, you gain an ability called Char's Power. Because who rules over the Shadowfell? Shar herself. When you choose this at 3rd level... Oh yes. When you choose this at 3rd level, your available key points immediately jumps to 6, and then you gain 2 key points every other level, as well as the normal 1 key point on the other levels. Example, when you hit level 4, you'd gain 1. When you hit level 5, you'd gain 2. Level 6 is 1. Level 7 is 2, etc., all the way up, which then immediately expands the amount of key points the monk has, because, in my opinion, that is one of the biggest drawbacks to the monk itself, is the limited number of key points.
Yeah, that takes it up to a potential of 100, like 150% of your original key points. 1.5 times.
Just over 1.5. I think this will leave you right around 31 or 32 key points once you max out, which at a level 20 monk is not bad. Not at all. That helps out a lot.
That's awesome. That does more for the monk than any other subclass.
I also gave it a little more at 3rd level because, as well as nice as that is, you gotta get a real ability when you join a subclass.
A couple things, yeah.
So the next thing you get at 3rd level is an ability I decided to name Shadow is Home. Also at 3rd level, you gain Devil's Sight out to a range of 120 feet and can cast the Darkness spell twice a day, requiring no material components as the influence of the Shadowfell spreads from within you. As part of the same action used to cast Darkness, you can spend 1 key point to share your Devil's Sight with up to 4 other creatures of your choice you can see within 60 feet of you, and then divide the range of your darkvision by the number of creatures you shared it with plus 1. So if you shared it with 1 creature, you would divide that range by 2. Each of you would get it out to 60 feet, etc., all the way up to a maximum divided number of 5 when you share it with 4 other creatures.
That's a great way to mitigate that. I think that's a good balance. You know, like if you're spreading it amongst the people, you get a little less range.
And the darkness spell itself is only, I believe, a 20-foot by 20-foot area. So if you're sharing it amongst you all, your entire party theoretically should be able to see into that darkness spell while blinding your enemies. It's a massive benefit to the entire group.
Nice.
Because even if
don't come close.
No, because even if the enemy you're fighting has dark vision, they're not going to be able to see through that magical darkness. And twice a day I felt was more than fair to have that ability to be able to cast it. Yeah. And the fact that you can only share your Devil's Sight when you cast Darkness. You can't share it all the time. It requires the casting of Darkness.
You have to cast that
and
darkness
then spend
one way or the other.
Right. You have to cast the Darkness, which you can do for free twice a day, but then to share it, you have to spend that 1 key point.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's 1 key point no matter how many of up to 4 creatures you decide to share it with. So if 1 key point for 1 other creature, 1 key point for 4 others. Does not change. Because again, key points are valuable to the monk and you shouldn't be using them on a lot of other things, except for the core abilities that the monk uses them for.
Yep, play to your strengths, which is in the main class more than anything. This is supposed to help.
Exactly.
I think. I'm seeing that immediately. This is supposed to really augment what the monk can do and not spend key points on too many other things, at least so far. What's next?
6th level, you gain what is called Shadowfist. This also pairs roughly right around the time that your fists then become magical through the main monk class anyway, But now instead of dealing bludgeoning damage, they deal necrotic damage. Your power's coming from the Shadowfell. You should get that necrotic damage from that. It's a different type of damage to deal. It's kind of cool. It flavors it really well. And while a lot of things may never be resistant to magical bludgeoning damage, maybe eventually you'll find something that's vulnerable to necrotic. Who knows? But it's just a cool thing to have.
A decent amount of things are. Maybe not for fighting the undead campaign, but that's a nice little swap. The only idea I would have for that is maybe you can choose to deal necrotic damage instead of your normal damage.
That's not a bad idea at all. Not at all. I may have to go back and change that. To be like, you can choose to do necrotic damage, but you'd have to declare it before you make the attack. That wouldn't be bad at all.
No, that's I like that you brought the necrotic damage into it for the Shadowfell influence, but I could see that as a little bit limiting in some cases. I just, I think that the choice is the simplest way to rectify that. You can deal your normal, like, bludgeoning damage with your unarmed strikes, or
you can deal necrotic.
Call upon the Shadowfell to give you that necrotic damage and give you an edge if you so choose.
Speaking of calling on the Shadowfell, at 11th level, you gain the ability Shadow Cloak, where you can spend 2 key points to create a cloak of shadows on your person. The cloak lasts for 1 minute, but ends early if you're incapacitated, unconscious, or fall to 0 hit points, as abilities should.
Fair.
While the cloak is active, attacks against you have disadvantage as the shadows make it difficult to hit you. It basically acts as a cloak of displacement.
I love it. I fucking love it. Because this helps with the monk being very mad to me. You're depending on the other attributes, multiple attributes, to determine what your AC is. For the love of God, if you're harder to hit, it's going to help so much.
And the 2 key points with the added key points you get through this subclass anyway isn't a huge expenditure at all. It's not really nicking into how many you have. You still have an abundance left to use.
I'll even go so far as to say that this ability would be cool even if you didn't modify the key point, like, generation, so to speak.
Yeah.
Even at 11th level, spending 2 key points to make yourself a lot harder to hit.
It's well worth
and then
it.
maybe, even if you don't have the extra key points from that first ability. I love the way this is written. I love this ability, Brady. That one's awesome. What else you got?
The next one is Chars Fury. It's the only one I am not super sold on yet, but what I have for Chars Fury is, at 17th level, your Fury of Blows no longer requires a key point to use and deals an additional 2 attacks. So now your Fury of Blows is doing 4 extra attacks, or 4 total attacks for that, and does not require key point expenditure.
That makes it a lot better.
It's still going to take the bonus action, which is fine, but now you're not using a key point to have to use your bonus action for it. Because when Shar gets mad, you're going to feel her wrath.
I really like that. No, that's really good. There's a couple little... there's really just one thing I have in mind for this, and it's, like, could you incorporate, like, taking your power from the Shadowfell, could you incorporate magical damage to your unarmed strikes?
Your unarmed strikes are already considered magical through the
that's
class
right.
itself.
Yeah, that's right. Duh.
So there was no need to do that.
Yeah,
that would have been extremely redundant.
So you've already got that. Yeah, you've already got that. But Flurry, yeah.
And I understand it doesn't come online until 17th level, but that's just how the monk subclasses work, and that in itself is an extremely powerful ability to get 2 extra flurry of blows, unarmed strikes, and then not using the key point. Yeah.
For nothing. You're just like channeling the shadow to do more to do more damage. Just
especially at that point when odds are you've already activated your Shadow Cloak and your attacks can deal necrotic damage, because I'm making that change. You can choose if you're going to do magical bludgeoning or magical necrotic. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You're going to have that choice now. I'm changing that. So with all of those abilities and what this subclass is, what's your honest opinion of it, Justin? I'm not going to lie, I made this in about 30 minutes one morning when I had a font of inspiration.
I gotta say, I've given kind of my ideas as to how it could be improved, and it's really not much. It is not much at all. It doesn't take much tweaking to make this better. And for the love of God, every monk should have more key points. That's just what you did with the first power is you edited the monk to make it more viable in any campaign at its core. I love this. I love it. I love it. The other abilities are so cool too. Just being able to essentially smoke cloud yourself and cast yourself in magical darkness and have your allies help you out and be able to see in that, disperse it. And that one's so well balanced. Tier list? Well, first off, would I play this? Absolutely. Oh, yeah. You get a campaign where we're fighting fewer undead or just humans, or you want a monk that's kind of
Anything
a
that
darker
doesn't put
flavor
you
than a
in the
normal monk.
Shadowfell, yeah.
Yeah, you want like a darker, edgier monk kind of thing. It's really fun for flavor too, but it's so viable. It's so viable. This is I would absolutely play this one, and I would probably put it at an A tier subclass.
That is good
It's
to
not.
know.
It's like high A,
I
but
think
like
I
as
think
it
it's
reads,
really
I've
hard
offered.
to put any monk in S tier, no
It
matter
really
what
is.
you can do to it.
I frankly, I just can't do that.
Right, right.
This is a better monk subclass for many reasons. What do you guys think? How would you tweak this subclass as we've gone over it to, maybe make it better? Do you agree with my changes? Do you agree with Brady's core reasoning? How do you think it's balanced? Tell us if you would play it in a campaign.
Do you
I
want to
don't
see
know.
us make more subclasses? Because honestly, it's something I enjoy a lot.
Yeah, we can run through a lot of these little things. We can have some fun with it. And you guys can be along for the ride. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, especially if you made it this far. And stay tuned every Monday and Thursday for more videos from Intoxicated Intellect. Until next time, Brady and I,
See you
take care,
guys.
man.